Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my dear learners. I am Dr. Tanveer from Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Jamia Millia Islamia. For today's session, our topic is multiculturalism and multicultural education. Many people who are not connected with schooling may think that there is nothing difficult in teacher's job. This thought is a huge mistake, as the number of challenges teachers face is incredibly big, and this happens in the classroom where teachers and students speak the same language and understand each other perfectly. Now, only imagine how many difficulties a teacher should overcome if his students are from different countries, different regions, brought up in different cultures, speaking different languages with opposite religious views and diverse educational backgrounds. However, there are thousands of such multicultural classes working on a daily basis, and teachers have to overcome dozens of challenges to achieve the educational goals. Let's see what these challenges are and how to cope with problems of multicultural education. In this session, we will discuss about multiculturalism and multicultural education. The concept of multicultural education, why multicultural classroom is necessary in India, what our constitutions say about it, and what are the policy context around it with respect to the multiculturalism and multicultural education. We will also discuss the dimensions of multicultural education. What are the advantages and disadvantages of it? We will learn that what are the challenges teachers face in a multicultural classroom and how can we make multicultural education effective in our classroom. So, after completion of the lesson, you should be able to state concept of multicultural education, state needs of multicultural education, mention the policy context of multicultural education in India, recognize dimensions of multicultural education. You should be able to formulate challenges of multicultural classroom and suggest advantages and disadvantages of multicultural education. You should be able to devise ways to make your multicultural education more effective and handle such multicultural classroom more effectively. First, let's clarify the terminology. First of all, let's understand what multiculturalism is. Actually, multiculturalism is a system of beliefs and behaviors that recognize and respect the presence of all diverse groups in an organization or in the society, acknowledges their values and their social cultural differences, and encourages and enables their continued contribution within an inclusive cultural context, which empower all within the organization or society. This was given by Yusuf in 2003 in his studies. There are many definitions of multicultural education when we talk about it. A narrow definition is that a multicultural education is the expansion of educational curricula and activities to include the perspectives, histories, accomplishments, and concerns of all the people in your classroom or all the peoples of the society where you are teaching, where you are living. But the broader definition is that all students, regardless of the groups to which they belong, such as those related to gender, ethnicity, race, culture, language, social class, religion, or exceptionality should experience educational equality in the school. This was given by Bang in 1993. So, multicultural education is a philosophy of teaching learning from preschool through higher education. On curricular level, it is an education method that fuses the stories, writing, qualities, beliefs and point of views of every individual from several social foundations. It is the approach that integrates perspectives and experiences of numerous cultural groups through the curriculum. Multicultural education uses a set of strategies to ensure all students, no matter what background or native language they have, whether they have access to knowledge and instruction which promote higher level of academic achievement. The main purpose of implementing it in classroom is to enable educators to adjust or join exercises to highlight diversity and social variety. We know that some students, because of their particular characteristics, have a better chance to succeed in school as it is currently structured than students from other groups, sometimes described as culturally disadvantaged students or culturally handicapped students. Multicultural education permeates all aspects of a school system, including the admission of a student, school policies, syllabus followed in the school, staff selections, co-curricular activities and teaching learning methods and teaching learning aids also. Multicultural education must take into account all the facets of education that address issues of racism, sexism, classism, linguicism, ageism, heterosexism, religious intolerance and xenophobia. What is the need of multicultural education in India? Should we adopt it? Should we continue with it? Is it beneficial for us or not? To discuss it, first try to understand India. India is arguably the most diverse country in the world. We have the second largest national Muslim population in the world and largest Sikh, Jain and Zoroastrian population in the world. There are currently 22 languages recognized as official language, including Hindi and English, which are designated as a linked language and sometimes Hindi as a national language also. We have cultural pluralism. Two communities that are central to the discussion of cultural pluralism in India are Dalits, which are officially known as scheduled castes, and Adivasis, which are officially known as scheduled tribes, STs, which make up more than 16% and more than 8% of the population respectively. The OBC category, other backward class category, which include lower caste Hindus and some segment of the Buddhist and Muslim communities as well as other groups identified on the basis of low economic, social or educational status, account for about 50% of the total population of the country. It is huge, more than 50%. As Andre Betteley in 1998 has noted, India has a long history of tolerance of diversity, but it was a diversity that was arranged hierarchically. Participatory pluralism seeks to maintain diversity while breaking down hierarchy and addressing social justice, and ensuring social justice by addressing all the social injustices. Ideally, this form of multiculturalism requires bridging the distance between groups, which must include earnest effort to celebrate identities other than one's own identity. Fortunately, what makes post-independent Indian multiculturalism and multicultural education unique is the fact that diversity is considered as a defining feature of both Indian identity and Indian democracy. Consequently, The Indian approach to multiculturalism rests on the principles of both unity in diversity as well as diversity in unity, as noted by Alam in his study conducted in 2004. What this means in practice is that diversity is supported not as a necessary evil but as an important ongoing feature of the society. Most particularly, this approach rests on the twin ideals of autonomy and non-discrimination as exemplified in Article 29 of the Constitutions, that is, protection of interests of minorities, which guarantee linguistic, cultural and religious groups the right to maintain and develop their distinct identities and forbid discrimination on the basis of race, caste, religion or language in relation to the admission into a state-supported educational institutions. But should only be admission enough? Obviously no. Successful completion, or sometimes also known as educational success, is to be considered, and that should be the criteria of inclusion. Now, let's see some of the policy context in this regard. India's policy in the area of multiculturalism began before it gained independence from Britain. By the 1920s, policies for what we might now call as affirmative action were in place to ensure that minority religious groups were included in the administration of government. While ostensibly these policies were meant to ensure harmony among all groups in the colony, it is widely accepted today that the policies were part of the larger British strategy of divide and rule that created new division or exploited existing divisions within the indigenous community. It was well noted by Rodriguez in his 2005 studies. Today, Indian policies addressing diversity encompass objectives related to secularism, social justice and development of national identity that is inclusive of diversity. The Constitution was cast in the mold of the classical liberal democracy, but with what has been called an Indian inflation. It contains a strong commitment to equality and it seeks to develop an overarching national identity while protecting minority identities based on the premise that a strong identification with subgroup is an important building block for identification with the nation as a whole. Let's see what our Indian Constitution, says, or where does this multiculturalism get its strength from Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India reflects the firm belief in multicultural values for the state in the international affairs. The preamble of Indian Constitution is included the word justice, social, economical and political justice, liberty, thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, liberty in all these areas, equality of status and opportunity, and fraternity, that is dignity of individual, and unity and integrity of the nation. Under the Indian Constitution, the fundamental rights of the people is right to equality, as stated by Article 14 to 18, right to freedom from Article 19 to 20, right to against exploitation described in Article 23 and 24, right to freedom of religion coming from Article 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights from Article 29 and 30, and right to constitutional remedies from Article 32. Under the fundamental duties mentioned in Article 51A, it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities. to renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women, to develop the scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform, and to abjure the violence. Learning about other cultures helps to reduce us versus them feeling and thinking that lead to attacking other humans. It helps people to be open to the possibility of misunderstanding, and therefore it opens the possibility of resolutions. Regardless if a person ever sees someone of another culture or not, it can also help to understand that how I see the world may not be how you see it, how you see the world, and that's okay. As long as we communicate openly and peacefully about it, we can find that we are or we have in common. Now, how can I achieve such a beautiful benefits of multicultural education? How can we achieve the ideals of multicultural education? Multicultural education, known in its current form, was actually a reform movement designed to bring about a transformation of schools so that students from both gender from diverse culture, language, caste, class, ethnic groups will have an equal chance to experience school success. It is a continuing process because the idealized goals it tries to actualize, such as educational equality and the eradication of all form of discrimination, can never be fully achieved in human society. But what we have to do, that we have to practice our best to achieve it best in its true sense. We have seen the school as a social system that consists of highly interrelated parts and variables. So is the view of multicultural education. Therefore, in order to transform the school to bring about educational equality, all major components of the school must be substantially changed. The focus on any one variable in the school, such as the formalized curriculum, will not implement multicultural education in its true sense. So, the next question which arises is, what are the dimensions of multicultural education? If focusing on one variable in a school, such as just formalizing the curriculum, will not serve the purpose. So, to serve the purpose in a better way, we should know all the dimensions of multicultural education. Actually, James A. Banks, a professor of education and director of the Center for Multicultural Education at the University of Washington in Seattle, is recognized as the leading scholar in field of multicultural education. In this video, I will refer many of its papers. The references of those papers have been given along with the paper or the work of some other researchers also. So, James A. Banks, he has detailed 5 critical dimensions of multicultural education. Number 1, content integration. It deals with the extent to which teachers use examples and content from a variety of culture and groups to illustrate key concepts, generalization and issues within their subject area or within their discipline. Number 2 is knowledge construction. The second dimension which he suggested is the knowledge construction. Students learn how to build knowledge himself or herself. It is about helping students understand how knowledge is influenced by beliefs. The third dimension of multicultural education which Banks suggested is prejudice reduction, which describe lessons and activities used by the teachers to help students to develop positive attitude toward different racial, ethnic, and cultural groups. And the fourth one was left. And the fourth dimension of multicultural education which he suggested is equity pedagogy, using teaching methods that reaches to all students. Equity pedagogy actually involves teaching methods adopted in the classroom which can accommodate the culturally diverse student in the classroom. These teaching methods must empower students, sensitize the existing prejudices against various classes or groups of people, and at the same from healthy worldview without prejudice or bias. Inculcation of tolerance, understanding, and respect go hand in hand with it. Essentially, pedagogy must aim for a holistic development of a student. So, equity pedagogy exists when teachers modify their teaching in a way that will facilitate academic achievement of a student from different racial, cultural, and social groups. The fifth and the last dimension of multicultural education which Banks suggested is empowering school culture and society structure. That is, creating social structure in the school which support learning and development for all students. The culture and organization of the school are transformed in a way that enable students from the diverse racial, ethnic, and gender group to experience quality and equal status. Many people are familiar with only one dimension, that is cultural integration, using examples and content from a variety of culture while teaching a subject, because they believe that multicultural education is simply changing in curriculum. No, it is not simple changing in curriculum only. Many people assume that it is irrelevant for subjects such as science and mathematics, but if you consider the other four dimensions, which is helping students to understand how the knowledge is influenced by their belief, reducing prejudices, creating social structure in a school which support learning and development for all the students, and using teaching method that reach to all students, then you will see that this way multicultural education is relevant to all subjects and relevant to all students. After discussing the dimensions of multicultural education, let's see what are the goals of multicultural education. Also, I want to discuss it before discussing the challenges of multicultural education. So, let's first know what are the goals a teacher needs to achieve through multicultural education. To become a good citizen of a school, the community, the country, and the world community. The important goal of multicultural education is to develop the peace and harmony in the society, to develop and foster a democratic and a just society where all groups experience cultural democracy and empowerment, to develop positive attitude about group of peoples who are different from ourselves, to help students to develop the knowledge, attitude, and skills needed to function within their own and other microcultures and within the global community. Its purpose or its goal is to provide opportunity to gain cultural competencies, removing the prejudices about other culture, religion, race, caste, community, and all those lines dividing the human on the basis of some criteria which are not in their hand actually. So, a teacher need to have every student achieve to his or her potential to improve academic achievement of all their students and multicultural knowledge, and to encourage students to take an active role in their own education by bringing their stories and experiences to the learning scopes. Also, one of the aim of multicultural education is to provide decision-making skills and critical analysis skills to the students so that they can make better choices in their everyday life. See, in life, we not only encounter just our type of people or people from our group. World is full of different type of people. To achieve the goals of successful coexistence, It is very essential for teacher to be knowledgeable about the different culture, religion, ethnicity, and even the languages spoken by at least his students. Now, coming to the challenges of multicultural education. Unlike customary classroom, issues in multicultural education make the teaching and learning process a real trial for both the teacher and the students. All that happens due to the challenges faced by a teacher and influencing the learners. Let's see some of those challenges. The number one I would put it is non-verbal behavior. Sometimes it is much easier to understand a foreign language than a body language of another ethnic group. If a teacher is not aware of the non-verbal behavior characteristics of the society where his students are from, that might bring about a variety of troubles and difficulty of right interpretation of those body languages or non-verbal behaviors. Such customary non-verbal behaviors are as raised hand, eye contact, head nod can have a complete different meaning in another country, let alone any other body sign. For example, just nodding head. In India, if we nod head this way, it is positive, it is affirmation. While if we nod head this way, this means negative. But in some culture, like in Turkey, it is quite opposite. No is this and yes is this. So if you have a student from Turkey and you don't know that this is the interpretation of their body language, what you will do? You will interpret his or her no as yes and yes as no, which may create problems. Number two, presenting one topic from different perspective. This is the challenge of multicultural education. You may say that every teacher should present a topic from different perspectives independent of people's nationality in the classroom. Of course, it would be great, but a restricted number of school lessons does not always provide this opportunity. In multicultural classes, the situation is different. It especially concerns history lessons, as some event can be defined by different population as opposite one. For example, some movement should be called not only an expansion of one country but also the displacement of another nation. A teacher should be very careful in his formulation of expression not to offend feeling of some students. Moreover, he should not try to persuade in the unquestioned truth of his word and views, as it may result in a struggle and disappointment among his students. History should be presented as accurately as possible. There is no need to downplay any negative aspect, but a task of the teacher is to avoid stereotype and offer evidence from the primary source to sound objectives. Number three, diversity of extracurricular activities. As children from other cultures have appeared in the classroom that differ from theirs, it means that they should also get accustomed to the new tradition, a way of life, relationship in this new society. In most cases, it is teacher's job to show and tell about that. It is usually done in different extracurricular activities, whether it is a holiday or some important date, the children should learn about it. Number four is teaching communication skills. Apart from difficulties in using a foreign language, a student may feel shy or unable to express their viewpoints because of the horror not to be understood. In some Muslim countries, boys will avoid socializing with girls, while in the new environment it is an absolutely normal experience. Teachers should encourage students to discuss different issues, speak up their mind on a variety of topics, and promote a pleasant atmosphere in the classroom. The fifth point is the cultural difference can also be noticed in a poorly formed speaker-listener relationship and diverse pattern of cooperation and competition. As a result, students might not know how to behave when a teacher is speaking, have no idea of group or pair work, will not understand the rules of games introduced to them. One more important aspect is the prevalence of visual learning material. As students can hardly understand the language, images can be more effective in acquiring new knowledges in such a situation where language acts as a powerful barrier. The sixth point, constant work with parents. Every teacher should understand how a student feels in an absolutely new environment, and communication with his parent can be helpful in that situation. It is important to understand how a child has been raised from the childhood, what tradition influenced his view of the world, and what is absolute inadmissible form of. This knowledge will help teacher to build their lesson more effectively and help student to find their place in the classroom. The seventh point in the challenges of multicultural education is the domination of different learning styles among students. Despite the fact that students may differ in race, religion, or family background, these young people can also absorb information in a variety of different ways. They can be accustomed to other teaching approaches, methods, ways of material presenting, so it will take time to get used to everything new. A teacher should offer his students all the learning styles, for example, auditory, visual, tactile, etc., for learner to grasp information better. Moreover, it is necessary to consider cognitive style of particular concern like field-dependent and field-independent cognition, reflectivity and impulsivity, tolerance and intolerance for ambiguity, and all those things. All those factors which influence learning of a person. And the eighth and very much difficult thing among the challenges of multicultural education is the language barrier. The main thing that differs multicultural classroom from ordinary one is a language barrier actually. Coming from different countries and even cities, district children or children from remote areas can speak the same language but never understand each other. Yes, this happens. This might be the influence of parent, environment, dialect, etc., etc. However, the situation when students do not know the language of studying happens even more often. Young people get into an environment where a teacher speaks a foreign language they do not understand at all, and their task is not only to understand what the teacher says but also gain new knowledge, twice harder than the customary classroom. Now let's discuss how can we as a teacher, as a future teacher, make multicultural education more effective. The first thing I feel you need to do is to establish mutual respect. Establish that cultural biases exist and then explore the issues from a multicultural perspective. This is easier in some cases than other. Also, sometimes even in some subjects it is easier, while in some subjects it is difficult. For example, math is harder than the history in establishing multicultural perspectives. In history you can establish, in social sciences you can establish, but in sciences it seems that it is harder. But actually if you can do it also. Second thing which you as a teacher should do to make your cultural education effective is allow open conversation. One student in my class was convinced that arranged marriage is horrible. Another student in my class came from a family which happened after arranged marriage and planned to continue the practice. The whole class was involved in the discussion, which ended with a mutual understanding of the positions of all sides. Is multiculturalism to your advantage? Use it. Use multiculturalism to enrich the ideas in your classroom. There is more than one right answer. There is more than one right perspective to most of the ideas, to most of the situations which you pose to students. Point out and nip prejudices while respecting cultural differences. The next thing which you can do As a teacher, to make multicultural education more effective is celebrate diversity and appreciate differences. Do not shame students for being different, thinking differently, or coming up with different solutions. Not everyone sees things in the same way. We have to be careful not to stereotype people. In each of these groups, in each of the groups, there are individuals who are nothing like the stereotype we have of them. Also, as a teacher, you need to increase your own multicultural awareness. Now, what multicultural awareness is? It is an understanding, sensitivity and appreciation of the history, values, experiences and lifestyles of minority group or in general other groups. These groups may include differences in race, culture, religion, gender, sexual orientation, socio-economic status, disability, challenges or age simply. Also, you need to discover others. Attending activities sponsored by different ethnic groups, getting active in organizations that support different lifestyles, participating in the festivals of other, or what we talk other or means that participating in the festivals which your family do not celebrate, and becoming involved in groups that have diverse membership will give a better perspective about unique culture and experiences. Not only you should discover others, but what is more important for multicultural education, to be a teacher in multicultural education is the self-discovery. A teacher also need to do some personal self-discovery and ask himself some important questions like, am I holding any prejudice? Are there any group I would have a difficult time to work with? Are there any group I feel I cannot work with them at all? You need to ask these such questions to yourself. Multicultural education and its true purpose cannot be actualized by simple modification of the syllabus, by adding chapters about different religion, different caste or different categories or sexism or the handicap, but by modifying the whole curriculum to acknowledge and address the diversity and its issues. It requires behavioral changes in teachers as well as students. You can say that it is a way of life. Some suggestions to modify the curriculum so that multicultural education, the quality of multicultural education could be ensured are like, teacher must include key ideas in the classroom discussion that can relate to a whole lot of issues rather than focusing on a group or being partial to one cause only. The real historical accounts and personal accounts of the marginalized section evoke a completely different perspectives about one's worldview. History must be understood from multiple perspectives rather than depending upon the single perspective which has chances to be written by the people in power and therefore have a strong chance of being biased. For example, history is demeaned as his story by feminists, and her story is an attempt to rewrite history from a feminist perspective. Now in India, we are going through rewriting histories. Also, what you as a teacher can do or as a curriculum planner can do is that the regional languages must be given priority, keeping in mind the global significance of English. It is a fact, it has to be accepted. But the regional languages must not be ignored on the cost of English or some other global language. Text in English could be better adapted to suit Indian culture and work with Indianness could be included while teaching English. World culture should also be taught, preferably as a separate subject, so that the students get to know about the different cultures around the globe. Moral studies can include texts that stimulate a holistic worldview in the students. Co-curricular and extracurricular activities can be developed keeping in mind on diversity of students, and infrastructural facilities should be modified and adapted to be inclusive. It's not only changes in the curriculum. After going this much about what multicultural education is and what are the goals and what are the challenges and what are the dimensions of multicultural education, let's discuss a term that is antonym of multiculturalism, that is anti-multiculturalism, what it is and how something turns anti-multicultural. In a sense, multicultural education is an anti-bias education. It is an established finding that educational content can be corrupted by the immediate culture it comes in contact with, by the culture that leads to the formation of a particular curriculum, or by the teaching method used by the teacher. Content developed for the ruling power would support and propagate the views and values of the same and normalize the marginalization and oppression of the minorities. This is a fact. Today's students become tomorrow's citizens. We are going to mold and shape the world, and that world are actually being molded in our classroom, and the culture imbibed by the same is an unalienable aspect of that process. Therefore, it is of utmost importance that the educational content delivered to today's student should be multicultural and all-encompassing and inclusive. Let's see some of the mistakes we do which turn education anti-multicultural. I am putting here some of the instances described by Reba Sarah-Koshe in her paper Multicultural Education, Significance, Content Integration and Curriculum Design, which is published in IJRET in volume 4. So, she has done an extensive study on it. One of the instances she put is giving unnecessary preference on one language turn education anti-multicultural. For example, promoting English over one's own mother tongue can result in an unfavorable attitude toward one's own language and culture. Many schools in Kerala administer strict disciplinary action against a student who speaks in their mother tongue or any other regional languages and are made fun of, which instill fear and shame in these unassuming innocent children. These kind of practices are essentially against multiculturalism, even though superficially boast of embracing the same, the multicultural, boast of embracing being global. The other instance which turn our education anti-multicultural is putting insensitive remarks to others. One of the examples she quoted is in Maharashtra, a class 12 sociology textbook published by the board lists ugliness of the girl as one of the reasons for families seeking dowry at the time of marriage. They show how a particularly insensitive paragraph from chapter 3 of the book, which read as, if a girl is ugly and handicapped, it becomes very difficult for her to get married. To marry her, the girl bridegroom and his family demanded more dowry. The helpless parents of such girl are then forced to pay up. This is I am putting it in quote and record. The book was used by thousands of students over the last 2 years to prepare for the higher secondary certificate board examinations. This glaring insensitivity toward person with a special need. The next thing is hiding truth taboos, etc. etc. For example, CBSE recently removed a section on Nadar women's struggle for the right to cover their breast from social science textbook. Though the section was factually correct, several objections were raised citing usage of derogatory word as the reason. Here arises the question whether the struggle, though painful, should be known to the new generation or it should be covered up at all. From a multiculturalist point of view, the inclusion of the chapter creates awareness and sensitivity towards the struggle faced by the Nadar women and therefore enforces a better understanding of the subtleties in their tradition and culture which some may be demeaned by the bigots. Content or teaching methods cannot be multicultural if some group of people and their contribution to the development of history, life and culture are demeaned or completely ignored. The other mistakes which some of the textbook or we as a teacher in the classroom make is setting a standard about something like beauty, body shape, etc. in our examples. This must not be done in a classroom, or this must not be put in, taken as an example. The other thing, like this came into a newspaper, that how even a primary class talks about B for beauty and U for ugly by putting pictures of a young girl and a married woman as beautiful and ugly respectively. Think what such situations put a mark on such innocent mind. Now the next thing is that unnecessarily glorifying one culture or group is very dangerous. For example, in 2008, a study revealed that Rajasthan board textbook glorify Brahmanism a lot. The textbooks glorify Aryan civilization, the progenitors of caste oppression, presenting it as the golden age of Indian history. None of the heroes mentioned in the book are role model for students belonging to a low caste. Instead, beside a few non-Hindu figures, they are all high caste Hindus, particularly Brahmins, thus reinforcing the tendency to define Indian nationalism in strictly Brahmanical terms. The textbook also mentioned nothing at all about the groveling poverty and oppression so rife in India now, and instead it presents a picture of Indian society as a homogeneous unit, bereft of caste and class contradictions. Why such examples or why such mistakes happens? We all agree that some of these are just mistake, but it is also a fact that some people have negative views about multiculturalism. Actually, multiculturalism is a term that is well understood in education, but for the general public it has become a pejorative term. Around the globe, right-wingers, ultra-conservatives, neo-Nazis have all misinterpreted the term. Challenges to a multicultural education come predominantly from people who are not educators. They associate multicultural education with appeasement of others, particularly minorities, divisiveness, and a major focus on blaming someone else. Instead, so in such a situation where you find that there are some people near you who don't like multiculturalism and always boast about their culture as the best in the world and the only culture that should be propagated or that should be practiced, then when you interact with such people, instead use the terms such as cultural competence or cultural responsive education instead of multicultural education. This is much more palatable term because the business world understands cultural competence very well. If you look at the job advertisement or in the mission statements of many businesses, they talk about recruiting culturally competent employees. These are people who are knowledgeable and respectful of diversity and have the skill and attitude to work with anyone. Such people are GEM and are generally known as culturally competent. Ironically, this is what multicultural education means. So let's avoid the argument altogether because it is a losing argument and just refer to as a cultural competence in front of such people. Don't you want your child to grow up to be a competitive player in the global workforce or even your local economy where understanding a diverse marketplace is a plus point? So you need to play with the word only. Before closing, I think it is very necessary to establish what are the advantages of multicultural education. Although in the discussion, in this video, it should be very much clear to you, but let me ponder about the question that what are the advantages of multicultural education. The exposure to the different culture, values and belief is a part of helping to create understanding and acceptance of difference between people. Being exposed to the different opinions can teach students that there does not have to be uniformity in the way they think about the world around them and events that take place around them, and that just because they think a certain way about things doesn't mean that what they think is particularly right or wrong. It may be just different. Multicultural education requires teachers to become conversant with the different experiences and values of families from a variety of backgrounds, and experiences can broaden their bank of strategies for lesson planning and learning activities. Multicultural education provides an understanding of how the experiences of people from different backgrounds help to create the India, and it is their stories that comprise the history of the nation. This is sorely needed by every citizen today. There are more advantages that perhaps would take half a day to describe it. The concluding fact is that in a multiracial, multi-ethnic nation, multi-caste system, multicultural education is a valuable resource. Now it is the time to summarize the today's learning. We have learned that educational process is known as multicultural if there are two or more students in one classroom have common from other countries or were raised in a different custom and traditions. Its main goal is to provide equal opportunity for school learning to students of different gender, race, social class coming from the different cultural and ethnic groups. There are also some more specific goals of multicultural education like promote cultural democracy in the society and school in particular, to improve the academic achievement of all students, to develop the skills, attitudes and knowledge necessary for functioning in the community, and to gain the cultural competence. We saw that how India is a land of diversity, and the need for multiculturalism in education cannot be more significant than in a country like India. Such as each state has its own culture, tradition and language. In order to make education in our country better suited to make a good Indian citizen, it is important to let the students understand what India is actually. Globalization has brought the need for including diversity in education and the need for inclusion. Globalization has brought the need for including diversity in education and the need for inclusion of multicultural content from around the globe. Higher education, job and life need to be put into a multicultural perspective after all. Multicultural education can be approached through a variety of strategies. Educator can incorporate books and activities that celebrate holidays and special events from other culture. These are the surface level efforts. They can incorporate literature and instructions about people from diverse culture into the existing curriculum. An educator can encourage students to view concepts and issues from the different ethnic perspectives and point of views. from the others' perspectives also. Many people wonder, why is multicultural education important at all? But there are many reasons to implement it in the modern school. India is a very diverse country and many level it is uncontestable. So, in general speaking, it is a country of many language, culture, region, religion. In addition, issues of inequality based on gender, caste, social class and ability have been identified as the central concerns of education in India. Generally speaking, these issues have been addressed as a separate issue within the broader framework of educational goal. Today is the time of globalization. Border between countries become less and less noticeable as more states are happy to welcome citizens of other countries on their territory. The digital and virtual world is a different story. So, when a child comes to a new classroom, physically or virtually in virtual classroom or physically in your physical classroom, this experience appears very useful for both for the student as well as his new classmates. In last, we can say that through multicultural education, one learns to be tolerant, patient and open to the new information, while a child learns to survive in an absolutely different environment, and this experience is incredibly important. Finally, it may be concluded that diversity in nations school is both an opportunity and a challenge. Teachers should help students acquire social skills needed to interact effectively with students from other racial, ethnic, cultural and language groups. Schools should provide opportunities for students from different racial, ethnic, cultural and language groups to interact socially under conditions designed to reduce fear and anxiety. The school's organizational strategies should ensure that decision making is widely shared and that members of the school community learn collaborative skills and dispositions in order to create a caring environment for the students. The school should create or make a salient, superordinated, cross-cutting group membership in order to improve intergroup relations. Students should learn about stereotyping and other related biases that have negative effect on racial and ethnic relations also. So, multicultural education is the vital change that will make a true difference in the world, and its unmitigated form can create the feeling of one world, preventing wars and keep at bay so much of violence and cruelty against a specific group of people pervasive in today's world. With these concluding remarks, let's end this session. Thank you for being part of this session. Thanks a lot.